Hi there, welcome to lesson 3.4. In this lesson, we'll be going through the Divi theme customizer. So let's look at what we'll be covering. We'll be looking and exploring what the Divi customizer is. I'll show you how to access the customizer. And then I'll go through how you can update various elements using the theme customizer. So it's a place where you can make global changes that will affect your website as a whole. So things like the typography or the colors. Divi does allow you to then update elements individually when you're working on each page at a time. But this is the place where you can set some of those foundations in place to cut down on your workload. Okay, so let's dive in. Okay, so the next key aspect of the Divi builder and theme is the theme customizer. So I'm just going to go through some of the options here to give you an overview of how it all works. Okay, so I've got the front end of the website here, so again we can have a look at how things change as we do it. Also, while you are working the customizer, you can see the front end of the website here, and as you make changes you should see those changes being reflected. So we'll start from the top. You can see that we've got the Divi child theme activated, so obviously you don't want to touch that. Then here in general settings, so site identity is where you put in your site title and your tagline. So that's pretty straightforward. These layout settings is where you can choose whether it's a full width or boxed layout. So if I just select that, you can see here that it's created the content into a box sitting on a background. So you can turn that on and off. The website content width is referring to the width of this boxed layout. So as you move the slider, you'll only see the changes reflected based on how wide your actual screen is. But just be aware that for screens that are bigger than yours, that these changes will be reflected on those screens and you might not be seeing them reflected on yours. The gutter width here is just the space between the different elements. So as you can see, as I'm moving that, you can see the gutter changing and the elements being pushed closer together or further apart. One quick tip here is that these little reset buttons are just take you back to the Divi defaults, and bear in mind that for many of some of these key elements and setups, the default is probably the best one, and to leave it at that. But what it means is you can play around as much as you like and just to see how things work, and then just set it back to its default. So use custom sidebar width if you turn that on. So this is the sidebar over here, and now we can see that we've got the chance to make that narrower or wider. The section and row heights, these are the defaults for when you're using the Divi builder, so I would just leave them as they are. You don't need to muck around with those. The Divi builder is the actual functionality that allows you to drag and drop the pieces to create your website. This theme accent color, so again, just based on your branding, once you've updated your default colors, this is the place where you'll see your colors there now instead of that default that's gone in. And if you've got a single, if you've got a main brand color, just pop it in here, because then it's sort of a global accent. There are obviously other places in here that you're going to be able to add your colors in as well, but just update this so that your sort of underlying accent color is the one that reflects your brand. When you're happy with everything, you hit save and publish. You can use this back arrow and to go in and out and do lots of changes and save and publish at the end, but it's quite easy to accidentally hit this cross and then you've lost what you've done. So good working practice is to just save as you go along. Typography, so in here is where you can again make global changes to the font. You will have the opportunity on individual pages, individual bits of text and headings to make additional changes on top of that, but it's good to just kind of get your site having the same standard across, and by doing it here in this typography, you're making these global changes and it just keeps everything consistent. So you can play around with the default body text size, you can play around with your line height, the header text spacing, So again, just moving these things around, you can see what all those changes reflect. Again, I would say the defaults are pretty good. You might want to make the body text slightly bigger or slightly smaller, but 14 pixels is a pretty good starting point. Also, this will change depending on what font you're using. So moving down, we can look at that. You've got the option to bold, italicize, all caps, or underline your fonts, so your headers. I probably wouldn't use that underline because it makes things look like a link. Personally, italics isn't something I find particularly contemporary looking, but you know, these are decisions, stylistic decisions that you can make. Here's where you can change the fonts across your website globally. So hopefully before you're going in to do this, you've made some decisions about which fonts you're going to use. These are all Google fonts, so that means they're web-friendly fonts, and what that means is that they will appear on all computers because they're loaded up through the browser. So what you see should be reflected on what everyone else is seeing across the internet. So whichever your font decisions are that you've made, I've just picked those randomly. That's pretty bad. Something, just try to not get too crazy. Keep them, particularly for your body font, you just want something that's legible. So you can see here that Lato at 14 pixels is maybe a bit small, so I might move that up. So again, you can go in here and update what the body link color is. So what that means, anytime you put a link in your text, it will underline it, or sorry, we'll recolor it, which lets the visitors to your website know that that's a link. So again, just put in your main brand color there, and then you can update your body text and header text colors from this default gray. I'd recommend making them as close to black as possible. You could use some color in your headers, but just don't go crazy with it. But definitely for your body text, make it very close to black, just because that makes it easy to read. And here in the background is where if we just go back into here, make it boxed. Okay, that's how you can make changes to the background. You can change the color, you can upload an image, and so that's how you kind of make it stand out from that background if this is the design that you want to go for. Okay, so I'm just going to turn that off. Moving down, your header and navigation. You have some inbuilt different layouts here that you can choose between, so where you want your logo to sit, and you've got a couple of choices in terms of moving the nav bar to the left or to the right rather than on top, and you've got a choice to hide that bar until someone starts scrolling. Now it's not working just because the page isn't long enough, so the scroll's not activating it. So you can just play around with those different layouts to see what works for you. Primary menu bar is this here. You can play around, so start looking at the menu height. This is where you can resize the logo, resize the text, same sort of things. You can change the font, you can change the colors, you can put in the correct links, the drop down links. So all that sort of design and branding functionality is found here. So by playing around with the different background colors, link colors, and text colors, you can make your nav bar fit in with your branding. Okay, so secondary menu bar is one that appears above there, and to make that appear, if you go here into menus and add a menu and call it secondary, I want it to be in the secondary menu position, and I'm just going to add that sample page onto there. Okay, so now you see that's appeared at the top, so that's the secondary menu. And then going back in here is where you've got your design. Again, you can control all the design around that, so the background color, font color, link color, etc., etc. So these fixed navigation settings are for when we've got this functionality enabled where the menu moves. So it sticks as you scroll down the page, but it resizes down. So you can have control over how that looks. So things like your text sizes, colors, backgrounds, and all those other design decisions. And finally, your header elements. So this is for this top secondary menu bar. So I can show social icons up there. You can put a phone number in, and you can put your email in. And although I've ticked this show social icons button, it looks like there's nothing appearing here. So just double check, you go to the front end of the site and reload, and you can see now that they've appeared up there. Okay, so let's just look in the widgets here. So widgets are how you add things to things like your sidebar and your footer. So for example, in the footer area 1, I'm going to add a widget, and I'm just going to pick a default one here, so list of categories. Okay, so that's gone in there. In the second one, I'm going to add a calendar. And in the third one, I'm going to add the About Me widget. So I don't have an image, but I'm just going to put some text in. Okay, so I'm just going to save those widgets. Now, the reason I've done that is to just show you that when you go up here into the footer section, okay, so you've got the layout. It's a default of 4 columns, but I've only used 3 of them. I've got 3 widgets in here. So if I just change that to 3, see how it spaces it out more evenly. If I wanted 4, I would change it back to 4 and then add something in that 4th widget space. Here you've got control over what color you want your footer background. Here you've got control over the design elements of these widgets, so your colors, font sizes, font styles, all that kind of stuff. Now the footer element, so there's 2 parts to the footer. There's this bit with the widgets in it, and then there's the bottom bit down here. So this is where you can turn those social icons on and off. Whether you want them to show down there, it's usually good to have them down there. And the bottom bar these are the design elements for that, so you can play around with your font sizes and social icon sizes and things like that. Now, as you might recall, when we installed the child theme, I said that it came bundled with some extra functionality for your footer, and that is this edit footer link. So that isn't in the Divi theme, this has come through with the child theme. And what this allows you to do is have more control over what appears down here. So that text designed by, you can change that to say whatever you want. At the moment, they've got a link back to Elegant Themes, so you can change that link text and link it to wherever you want. So this is a good place to put something like your privacy policy and then a link to that page of your website. And then you've got space for a second link here. If you decide you don't want a second link, you just delete it and it disappears. And that's the divider there, so you can delete that as well. So this just gives you a lot more control in this area than the native Divi theme gives you. Okay, so the buttons. So again, you can here's where you can create your default button styles. So you can pick the default background color, border color, the font that you want to use if you want to use a different font to the rest of your website. You can turn there's an icon functionality on the button, so you can turn that on and off. So again, just go in here and sort of do some colors that are defaulted to your branding, and then you do have the opportunity to override this on specific parts of the website as you need to. But again, just to do a sort of default global starting point, go in here and make the buttons match your branding, and then don't forget to just create a hover style. So quite often just make it slightly darker or lighter than the color you're using, so that when someone hovers over a button, it's obvious that they're doing so. It's possibly not relevant now, but once you've posted some blog posts, this is where you come in to make changes to the design of the post in terms of the text and headings. Here's where you can just check out how things look on different mobile styles. So again, it's not something you might want to do right now, but this is where you come back to when you're doing that. Color schemes I wouldn't worry about, because what you've done is you should do is override the defaults. So the menus we looked at briefly. So this is how you can have some control over your menus. You can create a footer menu as well. So there's a place that you can link, do like a mini nav bar in your footer. You have room for 3 menus in this theme: the main one, the secondary, and in the footer. We've looked at the widgets, so that's how you add widgets also to the sidebar. So you can see that these are the current widgets in the sidebar. And the static front page is very important, so I've left one of the most important to last. So at the moment, as you can see, the default here for the website is that it's a list of the latest blog posts. But what you'd want to do probably for most business websites is change that to be a static page. So you want the front page to be your home page. In this case, it's because we haven't created any pages yet, this is your sample page. Okay, and then you save and publish that. So that just means that the front page of your website will be whatever page you allocate, which is normally going to be the home page. Okay, so that was just an overview of the Divi theme options. It's the place that you can just set up a lot of the global styling and just makes your site consistent. And then when you're individually going in to create different pages and different parts of your website, you do then have further opportunity to customize it even more. Okay, so that's it. Let's move on to the next lesson.